So Michael, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. It's been a few years. We sat down a couple years back when I was at T-Mobile and had a great conversation. There's a lot of things going on with your company. You got the new book out, you got Zebra apps, and a ton of stuff going on. So tell me a little bit about how the book is going, what people's reactions to it are.
Well, you know, I have to say that I was a bit goaded into doing the book. At a few conferences, I had just mentioned in passing that we had given up ADDIE years and years ago for a process that's more agile, more iterative, more creative, more fun, and we think more efficient. And at one point, ASTD asked me if I'd actually give a talk about it. I said, yeah, I don't think I'd like to, because people who use ADDIE tend to be very strong advocates of it, and it's I don't intend to pull the rug out from under them. I just mentioned because we always like to share what we've discovered with everybody else. That there are plenty of challenges to focus on in just developing good learning experiences. You know, so we don't need to focus on each other. To focus on that. And so as I always say, if you have a process that works well for you, you get the product that you want and the time constraints and budget and so forth, then it's a good process, right? Yeah.
Sometimes it's the organization, right? How that organization works, what their you know, how they approach projects and stuff like that really affect it. So.
But you know, actually, it was many years ago that I started thinking ADDIE might need to be revised a little bit and think about it in a different way. I had proposed once at a conference that we have a session on this, and the conference organizer said, let's put ADDIE on trial. And let's have a jury and stuff. And I said, well, good. I would like to present the alternative case. Okay, you got that. They couldn't find anybody that would defend ADDIE at the time.
Really?
They didn't do the session. And yet, if you talk to people about it, they will defend it pretty staunchly in many cases. So, but I had mentioned a couple of times that we just didn't use it, and they asked me to give a talk, and I was a bit fearful, but I said, well, you know, if there's an exit door near the podium, I'll be glad to share. Well, it just drew an unbelievably large audience, and so I've done it repeatedly. The last time I did that, the fire marshal had to kick people out. We had a huge auditorium.
Wow.
So it's really cool. Well, then ASTD asked if I'd write a book for him, so they commissioned a book, and that's why I did it.
Nice. Well, I think it's an important conversation. Even if you don't move on from it, you need to look kind of at whether it's working for you, right? I mean, if there's a new process that kind of matches the way the pace of business is today, and you should consider it, or at least maybe modify your ADDIE itself and just do it a little bit differently, borrow from what it is, and
you know, it should be a continuously improving process.
Right.
You know, there's no process that's perfect, I don't think, and probably no process works for all projects, and certainly not for all organizations. So it needs to be adapted. But we've had such luck with a more iterative approach, where we get our clients and our subject matter experts and everybody all in a room. I know it's hard to get people together for a couple of days, but we insist on it to the extent we can, and we produce a bunch of prototypes, and it's amazing how much ground we cover in a couple of days that way. And everybody then begins to expect the same product to emerge. Whereas if we don't do something like that, you know, like if you write a specification document, for example, people can read a document and imagine very, very different things. And when the product doesn't emerge to match their expectations, you're in trouble.
The clients expect it. You know, whatever's in their mind, you got to get that out, and they expect certain things. I know when I was at T-Mobile, and I was a client of your guys', I flew down to the Bay Area and hung out with your team for a couple of days, and we did just that, and it was amazing. In the process, it was an extremely fast-paced project, and we needed to do that to really gel, and it helped. We were able to do it on time and get what we wanted, and it was a fantastic fantastic approach.
Good.
So it worked for me on the. So it's good to see that that's just a common thing that you do.
Yeah, that's the feedback that we get.
Yeah.
It's not a familiar thing for many of our clients, you know, and it take a lot of cajoling at first to make it happen.
Yeah.
But then after that, with repeat projects, most of our clients wouldn't allow it to happen.
Yeah, nice.
It's got, well,
that's good.
How will this work if we don't?
Right. Yeah, that's great. They just come right on board.
That's right.
So excellent. I'm glad. I hope more people read your book. I'm sure a lot of people are. And what's going on with Zebra?
Oh, Zebra is fantastic. and in fact, they are related because if your process requires you to do really quick prototypes, I mean really quick, it's nice to have a tool that can do that.
Yeah.
And I don't feel for an interactive medium that a static prototype is really a prototype.
Yeah,
you know?
It's true.
You know, so if I were producing a print product, then I'd be okay with flip charts.
Right.
You know,
it's interactive. I mean,
but when it's interactive, then the prototype better be interactive as well. So what you want is a tool that allows you to both sketch and to make things interactive right away.
To start to feel that experience a little bit.
Yeah. Because the timing and the changes of information on the screen, how it changes, what causes the change.
Right.
You know, to me, the good e-learning is all about cause and effect. That the user does something, and then I want them to see what happens when you do that. If they can see it visually rather than just read about what happens, it implants this visual picture and an expectation that's so much more vivid and stronger. So I want a tool that does that, but I also want a tool that is going to allow me to evolve the selected prototypes, the one that turn out to be promising, that this is going to go. I want whatever work I put into that to be saved and to evolve into the end.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I mean, one of the simple capabilities in Zebra, but it's just kind of jaw dropping every time you demonstrate it, and even for us that have seen it over and over again, you can make your sketch interactive. And with crude little drawings of people or products or buttons and all that kind of stuff. And have them working so you can click and drag and collide and all that kind of stuff. But then you can, even while that prototype is in execution mode and it's running, you can take a graphic that you got from the internet or from your company's artists or from your asset library or whatever, and you can just drag it over an object that was sketched and let go, and it removes the sketched item and puts the beautiful graphic in place, and it has all the functionality that you had built into the sketched object. So if you've drawn a button and made it work as a button, then when you drop something in, it now becomes a button. That's
so amazing, and that's, I mean, while it's actually working, you can actually make changes in that.
Yeah, you can do it over and over and over again. So one of the things that we show quite often is advertising material, interactive websites. And we show, the one that we particularly like to show because the products are so different, is Breyer's Ice Cream. And they have a beautifully animated website where they have their different flavors and they're packaged a little bit differently and so on. And they, so here I'm trying to wave my hands and animate it, and I see it in my head, but all the products are kind of lined up small, and you can drag them or click them on the website, and they get bigger. One at a time it gets bigger, and then it describes something about that flavor and how wonderful it is and so forth. And it's a very pleasing effect to see this little row of products kind of slide across the screen and one of them get bigger. Well, another group we're working for is Select Comfort, that makes beds and pillows. Well, what you could do is you could take a pillow and drop a pillow on top of, Milky Road ice cream. And now it's the pillow that gets big and comes across, And the text that appeared for the ice cream, now you just click on the text. And again, while this website is executing, while it's running, and you just type new text in there.
Wow, it's fantastic.
That's your offering. It takes no time.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's such a that just fills such a void in what we've been doing, you know. It just, that process of creating something, handing it to the developers, waiting to get it back, seeing if it's if it's not right, then you go back and forth and over, and
I just want to really empower everybody to be able to do these things. And the one story that's really vivid in my head is that we were doing some early testing with Secrets apps, and we had a bunch of people come in an evening with their laptops and give it a try. One guy came in and said, I hope it's not too disruptive, but the babysitter bailed on me and I've got my 9-year-old son along, you know. Is it okay? He's got his own computer and he'll just sit there and play games and whatever. And of course, that's fine, that's no problem. Well, I saw the two of them whispering a little bit, you know, as people were getting started. I didn't think very much about it. What was happening then was his dad was saying, let's get Zebra up on your machine too and you see if you can follow along. Well, not only could he follow along, but as people would say, now I didn't quite get how you did something, could you show me again? This 9-year-old guy would say, let me show you. He'd pop up from his seat and he'd run around to the adults and say, no, you're clicking on the wrong thing. You're just going to click here, and then it just doesn't.
Nice. Does he work for you now?
He is now making instructional videos for us.
He is. That's fantastic. What a great story. That's really cool.
So it's really learnable. As somebody pointed out, well, that's not much of an achievement. You know, the big achievement would be if Grandma could learn that. You know? So I guess the kids do pick up on this fast.
They're digital natives. It's a little different for them, but well, I'm glad things are going really well for you, and appreciate you as always sharing what you learn and back out to us. And best of luck.
All right. To you too. Thank you.
Thank you.